Have you ever bought something that seemed like a good idea at the time and then almost instantly regret it? I am sharing the top 5 purchases I regret making for my van and telling you why they were the wrong choices so that you can avoid making those types of mistakes. If you know me from this channel, you know that I love recommending gadgets and gear that really work for life on the road. So you know that if I am recommending it, it's because it's something that I use every day and it's something that I find very, very useful to this type of lifestyle. But I have made a few purchases that made me wonder why I even got it in the first place. The 5 items on my list are in no particular order, but I am going to save my biggest buying blunder till the end because it is something that I purchased 4 times and finally realized that it is something that I just do not need. And if you want to play a little game with me, put in the comments below what you think that purchase is. No cheating. You can't skip to the end to find out. I'll know. The first purchase that I made that I almost instantly regretted was this Stair Step. I was so excited about it when I first saw it on another channel. They made so many good points about why it was useful for them, but I just really didn't think it through for my van. I loved that it served multiple purposes and that it seemed very sturdy and the price was right, but I underestimated how awkward it would be for me to store in my van when it wasn't in use. And I really hadn't thought about how dirty it would get coming in and out of my van and being something that I stepped on all the time. So that was something that just quickly became something that I didn't need anymore. I did end up giving it away at a van event to somebody who had a Sprinter that they stepped up into, and it made more sense for them because they had more room. So that is something you really want to consider. When you see me or anybody else recommending something, make sure that it makes sense for your van and whether or not it will really fit. In that same vein, something that made sense when I purchased it was my 100-watt solar panel from Jackery. When I first started out, I assessed that I needed a 500-watt power station with a 100-watt portable solar panel, and Jackery was having a bundle with a deal at the time. So I invested in it, reasoning that if I had to invest in one of the larger systems that had batteries and all of that, it would be way more expensive. And so with the power station and solar panel, I was saving a lot. So it really did make sense for me at the time. But I used to store that solar panel behind the passenger seat. It fit perfectly behind there and it had something that I could attach it to. But when I removed my passenger seat, I had nowhere to store it anymore. And over time, I had also realized that I don't use as much power as I originally thought, which may surprise some of you. But when I need power, like when I'm editing, I go to somewhere where I can have shore power or where I can sit and just plug in and use it for an unlimited amount of time. And for the other USB rechargeable things that I have in my van, like my fans and my lights, I really didn't need more than this little one that I already had, which is actually a Jackery 160. So I actually ended up giving my 500-watt Jackery power station and the 100-watt solar panel away in a raffle that there was in Quartzsite, Arizona, at a meetup that I was at. So that is something that you might want to consider is what are your specific needs and how will you use it? And most importantly, where is it going to go? My shoe storage organizer was something that seemed like a good idea at the time because I had this whole space behind the door that wasn't being utilized. And because I used my sliding doors all the time, the things that were on that door rubbed against the side of my van all the time. And that part of my van was dirty most of the time. So it turned out that every time I would open the door, it would clean my van, but get that area very dirty. And actually, I think some of you had cautioned me against that when I first put it in. And so that is why I listen to you guys when you make suggestions to me. So please, if you see me doing something, let me know. And then when I came up with this other pouch solution that I have all over my van, I had places to store all of those things. So just make sure that you think through the possible drawbacks of something that you are thinking of purchasing or doing in your van. And listen to people who have good ideas. My fourth purchase regret pains me to say because I really enjoyed researching and investigating how to hack a Berkey system, but it instantly became something that I regretted. I had it in the van for about a month before a friend of mine saw it and wanted it for her tiny space, and it worked really well for her. The main issue that I had with it was it didn't have a permanent place. I was constantly having to move it every time I moved. I used to store it on the side of my cabinet here on the ground so that it wouldn't be sliding down and falling on the floor. And I had to bungee it to the cabinet so that it wouldn't move forward in any way. So if something doesn't have a permanent place, you might want to rethink it. Now, here's the one that you might be shocked about. Maybe not if you've watched my channel for some time, but I have purchased and given away 4 different shower systems. And it's kind of ironic because bathing is probably one of the things that people starting out on the road worry about the most, besides going to the bathroom. But I am here to tell you, don't let either of those stop you, especially the shower or bathing issue. The first shower that I got was one of those systems that you just hang and gravity allows it to flow down. And that's pretty simple and it's easy. The problem that I had with it was that I didn't use it enough and it got all slimy and gross, and so I think ended up throwing that one out. The other 3 were slightly more complex in that they had a pump going to a shower head that you could turn on and off. But the first one that I had gotten had a shower pump that needed a very wide mouth or a bucket to put it in because of the way that it was shaped. And so after a while, I really didn't like that. So I gave that one away because somebody saw it and said, oh, I've been looking for that. And so I said, here, take it. And they probably are putting it to great use. The third one that I had was great. I had it over here when I had my cabinet over there. It was a container and it had a shower head attached to it. So all I needed to do was turn on the pump and then it became a shower head. Otherwise, it was a container for my water. So I liked that because it served dual purposes. The issue came when I really wasn't using the shower. When you have something that has water in it and then you don't use it, it becomes kind of slimy and gross. And while I was using the container part all the time because I was using my faucet and turning it on and off, I hadn't realized that the water that was going to the hose to the shower head was just sitting there and getting all slimy and gross. And so when I went to go use it, I realized that. And so then I wanted to try and repair those hoses and ended up looking for the system and it was no longer in existence. And so I just gave up on that completely. The fourth one I thought was genius because it solved both of those problems. I could use it with my slim water containers that I have back there, and it stored easily under my bed. And while it was probably the best option for me, I ended up giving it away when I was on season 2 of Gutted. And for those who don't know, that is a van building competition that I was in a year ago. But it was needed for the van build that we were making, and I had it, and I really had only used it once. So that is the real issue for me, is that I never really used any of them to warrant the space that they took up or the hassle it was to use them, clean them, and maintain them. I thought that I would be in places where I would have no alternatives to bathing, and that just really has never been the case. And when I don't have a place to shower, like a truck stop or a campground shower or a pond or a river or something like that, I just take an old-fashioned sponge bath, which is very easy and hassle-free. And lately, my best friend has become this when I need to wash my hair, and I have a video about how I do that. Again, for me, the simplest solution became actually my best option. So before you make any purchases, make sure that you don't have a better option in mind that could just be something simple. That way you won't make an unnecessary purchase that you might regret. If you're wondering about what other nomads have said to me about things that they don't use anymore, check out this video. It's very eye-opening. If you enjoy this content, please give a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss any of my future videos. As always, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.